This mural-sized graphite drawing is one of the first in my ongoing series, Shadowland. It represents the shadows cast by a taxidermied pheasant. The representation of light and shadow is an integral part of my figurative practice. However, in these works, cast shadows become the actual subject. Working with very basic media, graphite and Conseil, I meticulously recreate the cast shadows of animal skulls and bones. I don't draw the bones, so what is visible to the viewer represents an abstraction, a cast shadow without its referent. Ghost-like, the finished drawings appear as X-rays or photograms. In 2018 and 2019, I had the privilege of doing research at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. Working in the Department of Mammalogy, I focused on animals considered endangered or vulnerable. In these works, I contemplate our relationships with other animals and what it means to collect and preserve their remains. Founded in 1869, the extensive collections of the Mammalogy Department are stored in different ways. And these bones stand in for sizable numbers of individual animals. Slight physical variations between similar bones prompted me to contemplate the individuality of these once living animals. Like us, animals are born, live, and die. Here their collected remains survive as mute relics of individual lives. These direct encounters brought me into close contact with skulls, teeth, hands, limbs. Animals I will never view from such close proximity in life became measures of my own body. My own smallness or bigness was amplified, and as it was for Alice in her wonderland, this shifting sense of scale strongly resonated with me. There were other aspects of this research that I did not anticipate. Whether robust or fragile, the specimens felt vulnerable. I was not prepared for the feelings of love, sympathy, respect, or awe I experienced. My drawings begin when I select individual bones or skins. I'm drawn to those that seem emblematic. The forbidding skull of a polar bear with its prominent teeth, or its massive foot and leg bones, for example. The titles are transcribed from the specimen tags. I believe this information contributes to a dynamic relationship between what is real and what is illusory in these works. The storage areas are well lit and efficient for doing scientific research, but not for making drawings in the semi-dark. So I had to be mobile and adapt to very diverse situations. I was fortunate to have the full support of the researchers, who occasionally came to see what I was up to, as they did on this extremely hot summer day. I was working with elephant bones in one of the oldest areas of the museum. High up in one of the corner turrets, I was able to find a dark space away from the banks of skylights. Or here, in the sub-zero basement, I stood on tables to photograph a right whale vertebra. My process is physically engaging, almost gymnastic when working with larger specimens, as I must draw around and under the bones without moving them. The sizes of the finished drawings vary widely. After photographing and tracing every detail, I mark up my tracing to indicate the values and the quality of the edges, information I find especially valuable. Back in the studio, I will rely on all these references to render the drawing. I'm always eager to make the finished work as the bones obscure the central area and I can only imagine the completed form of the drawing. As each drawing materializes, it becomes a revelation to me. Once back in my studio, I sift through my tracings and make a selection. Because these drawings are direct transcriptions, not scaled representations, they maintain an indelible link to the material world. My process of transforming traced outlines into shadowed drawings is one of distillation, whereby a fleeting moment becomes an uncanny form. Sometimes I'll spend the whole day erasing a section and redrawing it, and in the end the difference is hard to perceive, but I will work and rework the surface until I achieve a luminosity that feels right. This gradual accretion of lines and erasures creates textures that give the transparent shadows an unexpected physicality. During long periods of engagement, I reflect on the enigma of these silent shadows, and the distance between myself and other animals comes into focus. My desire to create a seamless shadow with no traces of my hand requires a deep immersion in the craft of drawing. Shadows are surprisingly three-dimensional. The closer an object is to the paper, the cleaner the drawn edge. They're also luminous. Light penetrates the shaded areas. It reflects and scatters. From 2019 to 2020, a selection of these drawings was exhibited at the Beaty Museum of Biodiversity in Vancouver, Canada. Viewed in a context similar to where they were made, they became both records and harbingers. They offer a reflective space from which to consider the spiritual dimension of animals, our intertwined histories, and future evolution. Conjuring immateriality and disappearance, these drawings bring to light the overlooked or the unseen, as shadows in natural history display cases often are.